This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You are listening to Death, Glory, or Disappointment. Welcome back, boys and girls, for story time with the bearded legend, Mr. Dan Meredith.
You tell me off for laughing in it, and you keep saying things that make me get a story time with Dan. How fucking creepy does that sound?
Sit Indian style on the floor and get ready for dance.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, ladies and gents, so again, this is part 2 today. Again, polled the groups, Coffee with Dan, my Instagram account, social media, the works, and just basically collated some of the best questions. And about 70 or so to choose from. So if your name's been read out, then thank you for contributing. So a little name check there. But yeah, we're going to dive straight back in with actually one of my team, on a Planet Damn. So Leanne Carla Savage. A few of these we've sort of covered before, but I like this one. Making hard decisions. How do you do it? It's a good question, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose it depends on what a hard decision is. Like, I'm a big believer of the kind of plaster, just rip it the fuck off. As in, there's a Dan Kennedy, especially when it comes to people or someone you're serving or whatever. There's a Dan Kennedy quote, and I love it. And if you think negatively about that person, that situation, that thing, 3 days on the trot, you just get rid of it. And it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be malicious, but you just make a decision and you stick to it. What would you say on that, Joe? Hard decision. What's a hard decision for you?
What is a hard decision? The hardest decision for me is not to make a decision. I'm one of those people that needs to make speed decisions because I can't be bogged down in thinking about it.
Do you know what? I'll give you this is just a great practical tip. Taken from, I may quote it in my book, I don't know, but it's We're the Millers. You ever seen that one?
Yeah. Comedy movie?
Comedy movie, yes. So basically the scene I'm referring to is the main character, I can't think of the actor's name, but the chap in it is speaking to a young boy, and he likes this girl, but he's like kind of basically wants to talk to him, doesn't do anything, and then he's kind of, you can see him walking towards him and he walks away, and he gives him this piece of advice, and he calls it the 3-second rule. So if it's a hard decision, 3 seconds. So what he was trying to tell this lad is that you've got 3 seconds to do the thing. So in this case, ask the young lady out. But any longer than that, you'll talk yourself out of it. So if it's something that needs to be done, if there's someone you need to tell that they've done wrong, if there's someone you need to put in line, if there's someone you need to remove from your life, you don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be horrible. You just make the decision and you just fucking do it. I think you actually answered this question better than me, Jonathan. The worst decision you can make is no decision at all. 100%. So that's our take on that one. I mean, thank you, Leanne, your vague fucking question. But that's just how I make hard decisions. I don't overly think about it. One thing I will to say is a lot of the decisions I make, positive or negative, I do my very best. It's a learned trait. This is not natural. Is I take the emotion out of it. In other words, whether it's positive or negative, whether it may be upsetting or not, I park it. Especially in business, it is a business decision. If it's personal, then sometimes obviously you have to be, a little more delicate. But, I had a friend who was seeing someone recently and it wasn't going anywhere. And my advice to him was just be honest with her. I said, don't waste her time. Don't waste yours. And I've done it in the past before. I've, broken up relationships, and I'm quite blunt. I mean, I'm not nasty, just kind of like, yep, this isn't working. We need to move on. And
I'm done with it.
Yeah. But no, the lady happened in question thanked me because it was, instead of dragging it on through that painful period, you're just like, no, this isn't working. I'm very sorry. We need to kind of move on. And that clean break allowed her to go and meet someone who she's now married to and got kids with. We're still friends on Facebook. Super happy. But for me personally, I prefer the plaster, just rip it off method. That's me. Just get the fuck on with it.
Fair enough.
Oh, this is a good one. Colette Mason, one of my double espresso people. How to notice your wins rather than take them for granted. So kind of ties in a little bit back with what I said earlier about taking the emotion out of things. Now, I actually got very emotionless when it came to money because I was attaching my happiness to whether I earn or didn't earn a certain amount of cash, whether I signed up, just businessy stuff. And the downside to that is if I didn't achieve that income, didn't close that deal, I felt like shit. I mean, have you ever been like that, John?
Yeah, too long, and it was very unhappy.
Yeah. So I removed that emotion from it. And honestly, when I now see my revenue per month, as long as it's been delivered, which, one of my core values, ethically and honestly, and I believe that the money I've been paid is worth what I've been paid. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Fuck it. It's making sense now. As long as I get that, then I feel good. I'm happy. So every month I just treat it like a game. It's like a high score. Can I beat last month's high score? And if I can't, I do not beat myself up about it. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. So back to the question. How do I notice your wins? Well, I celebrate them. So, for example, there was a certain milestone we wanted to hit with espresso. When we got there, I treated myself to a weekend away. I went away. Recently I had set myself a goal of selling. It was 6 weeks left at my previous home in Brighton. Set myself selling 6 consulting days on the Wednesday. And I sold the 6. And what I did, and because I love my watches, as I've said before, but I wanted to use that money to do something nice for people. So my first ever employees, which was Andy and Cameron, so Andy Davis and Cameron Machine, love you boys, they run my gyms. Sarah is my personal assistant. They are my first 3 proper employees, yeah? They've been with me since day one. Loyal, driven, honest. Love them to bits. So I bought them all a Tag watch each. So entry level, nothing crazy. There's very, very modest, very understated, but, these are 2 young men in their early 20s. And Sarah, who, she's married, mum of 2, awesome lady, really hardworking lady, never treats herself. None of them do. And so my goal there was to treat them. But that makes me, even now, that's like months ago, so happy. So my next goal is to launch the supplement business. Obviously, we're in that kind of process right now. And I've set myself a target. It's challenging, but not impossible. It's a smart goal. Okay. And if I hit that, again, this will be for me, I'm going to take everyone on my team to Centre Parks for a long weekend. Centre Parks is kind of like if you don't know, if you're American listeners on UK, it's kind of like in the forest and there's activities and there's log cabins. You can go boating on the lake. You can go karting. You can do archery. It's that kind of thing, like outdoor activities, yeah? So if I hit that target, I'm going to take all my team away and I'm going to buy myself a watch. I've got my own. So I'm more extreme. It doesn't have to be that extreme. It could be taking yourself out for a nice dinner. It could be having a day. Like I said to someone recently, that my reward for this person I suggested is to have a day off. Literally a day off, take their phone, leave it at home, go have a spa day. Go do something nice. It doesn't have to be more, excessive stuff, but small things. Going out for drinks, taking your partner out for dinner, having a night off, having a short weekend break, but just little things that you reward yourself. It could be like buying yourself a new book or a new planner or a pair of shoes. It doesn't matter, but just a little something to say, do you know what? I worked hard for this. I've earned this. I deserve this. It doesn't have to mean material. It could be a simple fact of you just have a day off. We do nothing. So, yeah, I truly believe in rewarding oneself.
Dan, one thing that I want to add there that would make it super easy is just practicing gratitude morning and night. Just 3 things you're grateful for, and you'll actually start seeing those wins appear in there and more of them.
Yeah, to be honest, that's something I know there's gratitude journals, and I know a lot of people recommend. Personally, it's not something that I've applied, and I'll be honest with you, I thank you for that input, Jonathan, because I genuinely hadn't thought of that. But yeah, being grateful for what you have is, fuck it. I did it it's going back a few weeks ago, but I did it on my Instagram stories. I'd had a really shitty day, But I said, look, I'm drawing breath. I'm healthy. There's money in the bank. There's food in the fridge. I'm pain-free. I'm off to see a friend. I'm social. And, realistically, what more do I need compared to some of the other shit that's going in the world? I'm above ground. I'm in a Western society. I've got access to films and music and food and drinks and culture within minutes on my doorstep. So what do I have to be ungrateful for? So you can also, so a combination of the two, I think, is lovely. So daily gratitude, awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. But when you have a win, set yourself a goal, set yourself a challenge, set yourself a target. And if you get there, treat yourself because you do deserve it. And that's something, it's like a lot of people in our space, Jonathan, are really fucking hard on themselves. They really are brutal. They never feel like they've achieved anything. And I think it's an entrepreneurial issue, personally. But I don't know why people don't share, even share the wins or celebrate their wins. I mean, especially in Britain, I think we're a bit more reserved here. I mean, Americans, I find, are a bit better at celebrating their wins. But it doesn't have to be big, but just something that means something to you, that is a treat for you. Like I said, you can go crazy. You could buy a car, house, watch, boat if you want to, if it's big. Or, buy yourself your favorite pack of sweets. Watch your favorite film. Have a morning off. Go have a foot massage. Whatever. Little treats as well. I like little treats and big treats. Little weekly treats and then big quarterly treats if you've done your job right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, God, this will be a good one. I'm going to probably have to hand this over to you a little bit, Jonathan.
Uh-oh.
So this is by, and I hope I don't massacre your name, Hafren Maria Zlodus. So I believe she's from Icelandic descent. How spirituality and business fit together for you? Fucking hell.
Spirituality and business. Interesting.
Yeah. Do you know what? Because I like to be honest here. For me personally, I can see how they can fit together, but I'm not, how can I put it? I'm not what you call an overly spiritual person. I'm more of a scientific and more practical person. But I would say I have been practicing mindfulness and my version of meditation, which is lying still and breathing slowly. But it's a start. And I'd say it's the fact that it is important. But for me personally, I'm a bit of a pragmatist. So I think my philosophy is we came from particles, as in atoms and shit, and we're going to end up like that. So for me, the spiritual side is very much, how can I put this, covered by the fact that realistically, obviously, we're alive now. There'll be one day when we won't, but the bits that we're made of will live on. So that's my solace. Jonathan, anything you got to add to that?
It depends on what you're talking about with the spirituality, because I do practice my faith, so I think that's part of spirituality. And what I do to tie it in is it's one of my big things is to be more generous, to be more giving. And so whatever I can do to be successful as an entrepreneur and then first take care of my family, I'm also driven to give back to my community, to my church.
Nice.
After taking care of what matters first, us being alive and breathing, but I want to have an excess so I can be more generous, so I can share more, and that actually fulfills me. I don't know if that helps or not, but that's kind of how
it does, mate. And to be fair, I have a similar one for me. Obviously I'm not a member of any particular religion, and for those of you that are, and it gives you peace and happiness, then that's awesome. Whatever it is, my thing is, if it makes you happy, keep doing it. So that's kind of my philosophy there. But yeah, I agree with the same thing. Like, look after number one first, family, friends, nearest and dearest, loved ones, friends. And it's nice to be able to have, a little bit left in the pot each month to do good things. And so currently I'm doing, helping a homeless charity here in Brighton for young people who are, not that there's anything wrong or right depending on where you are, but these are people who are maybe newer to the streets and can maybe still be indoctrinated back into, day-to-day normal life. So it's a lot to me. Brighton has a lot of homeless people, and I like to sort of help them because, I can't actually, I'm very empathetic, but I can't actually imagine what it's like to be them, buddy. I can't. Yeah. For me, I don't, It sounds awful, but I feel for them. So that's one of the things I do. I do my own charity work as well. But I think generally just try and be a good human. That's probably as deep as I can probably go now. Maybe as I get older, I may become more spiritual. I don't know. But I think just generally trying to be a good human and be good to others is a good place to start, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm going to add one more thing because it's written down here because I always have to remind myself. But to be in touch with that and to be able to give, it's time, talent, and money. So if you don't have money yet, you can still do the time. Like you're saying, I did the same thing. I volunteered at a homeless shelter. You can do talent type stuff to help those people. And then when you have the money, you can do that and you can start getting your spiritual fix earlier rather than later.
That is absolutely brilliant. Say that time, talent, and money. What an awesome. Do you know what? I look back, I've done the same thing. I've written copy for charities. I've given my time freely to help up. What was the other ones? Time, talent, and then money. So and now, being honest, because like I said, I don't like to hide anything. If I had a choice to give my time, my money, I'd give my money. Because to me, my time has become more precious. Not that anyone's time is less important than mine, but for me, I'd rather be able to work a bit harder and then have some resources. Say, here you go, use this, make things better. But again, I went too far where I would just say, for example, like obviously I support my little sister and help my family out and stuff, where I just gave money. And for me, one of the heartbreak things, my sister saying like, I don't, obviously she doesn't understand the kind of, economics behind it. She's like, can't you just come and stay with me instead of working? When I was younger, and that kind of tugged on the heartstrings a little bit. So, I need a mixture of all three. I mean, I save my time now probably for, close friends, family, loved ones. Money is what I use to kind of help others and kind of, help others try and make their lives better. And then skills, like I said, I've currently pitched off. Do have you ever tried to give your time away and people can't understand why you don't want any money? They don't get it. You ever been there?
Once or twice.
It's fucking weird. So this is a weird charity I like. I was in a service station, so like a rest stop, as it's called in America, just at the urinals, and they have these little clipboards, these little advertising boards they have at head height in the gents. So for ladies, you wouldn't know this, but obviously when you're standing having a wee, they try and sell you stuff, which is fantastic. I don't know if it's the same in the cubicles. But I was reading this one, and it was about bees. Do you know about bees, Jonathan?
Not a ton.
So the nutshell version is, if honeybees die out, we're fucked.
Yes.
Proper, bent over, no lube, nothing to bite down on, proper, up the arse fucked. And I read that, and I thought, nah, it can't be right. And I looked into it, and there's a picture of a produce aisle, grocery aisle, with bees and without bees. And there's like two pieces of fruit and veg. The other one was full. And I remember writing to this company, and there is a bee charity, and I saw their copy and it was cool, and I saw some of their marketing. I said, not very good. I said, I'd love to come down just for a day, a month, and I'll write copy for you. I'll do stuff for you. And they're like, yeah, we're not looking to take anyone on. And I'm like, I'm not looking. Like, I said, I'm not looking for any money. He said, yeah, but what you want paying eventually. I said, look, I'm trying to say this as nicely as possible. I don't need paying. Like, I'm doing okay on my own. I want to get, I think this is a really important thing. I'd like to help you make more money. And I had this I was like having to email. I'm like, I'm trying to give you my fucking time here. So yeah, bit of a humorous one. I just thought I'd share that with you.
So Dan, we're coming close to an end. Are we going to do another one on this Q&A with Facebook?
Well, we've got one more question.
Okay.
We're done. This is our last one. One.
Before you get into that question, though, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
What kind of bees make milk?
Boobies! You're talking to a man who loves a boob, Jonathan. Of course I know that joke.
Boob joke, right?
That's a proper dad joke, Jonathan. Oh, bless you. Okay, last... Okay, my turn. What's brown and sticky?
My underwear.
A stick.
Brown
Jonathan. Brown and sticky is a stick. Jonathan, that is the most nasty response anyone has ever said to me. Why the fuck did you go straight to your underwear, you horrible fucking American?
All right, I take you off track. Q&A. Get back to it.
Right. Final question from Helen Packham. How do you maintain boundaries and not burn out as your following grows? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So I built my career on being readily accessible, really, really available, and, just always being there for others and always replying. So for me, I've got to be honest, as I've grown, as I've got bigger, as I've got more known, my inboxes have been, what's the word? Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And it's got harder and harder to reply all the time. So for me, I now have a system that I work to. So I think this is fair. I still give up happy with my time. So what I do this, I put aside time, 2 blocks every day, purely for replying on social media. Okay. So if you're a paying client, someone I'm working with, a consulting guy, whatever, if you reply, if you message me in that, if I'm available at any time of the day, I'll reply. And that's my choice. But if not, I put time aside every day to reply to those messages, to answer questions. Now, if you're maybe a member of Coffee with Dan, if you are a follower, someone who's bought my book, super grateful. What I do is I put aside an hour every day to just reply to people, say thank you, I appreciate that, give thanks, reply to any emails I may have got. And then once a week, it's generally a Saturday, like Saturday morning, I will go through my other inboxes. So the people who've maybe just wanted to say, read your book, I loved it, thanking me, commenting on something on social media, and I reply to those then. I batch things up now, Jonathan. So the boundaries I keep I find that's fair, because I think anyone expecting an immediate response when you're as busy as I am now, it's not practical. But equally, I won't. Someone said, you should get a VA to do your inbox, get them to reply for you. For me, that's disingenuous, because you're reaching out to me as, the fan or follower or client. You should get done. You've invested your time, your energy, your money, your effort in me. I believe you should get me. So that's how. So boundaries are, I enforce them, but I will always make time for people.
All right. So that's a wrap for the Q&A on Facebook, and we'll be back in your earbuds next time. Thank you, Dan, for answering all those questions, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Death, Glory, or Disappointment with Dan Meredith. If you enjoyed the show and you want more, then your next step is to go to iTunes right now and subscribe. And while you're there, give us a rating and review. It'll help us out a bunch, plus it'll bring you good karma.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.